Well, hey, everybody, this is Pastor Brad Reaves, and you are watching Prophecy News Brief with Coming Soon Ministries, where we bring headlines to you and show you how they are connected to what the Bible says is happening and going to happen in the world as we rapidly approach the sounding of the trumpet and the going home of the church. But that means that the Great Tribulation, that 70th week of Daniel, is going to be started. So important times for us to be paying attention to what's going on, and that's why we are bringing you Prophecy News Brief. Once more, just a few weeks, we are going to be in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, with Tom Hughes, Brandon Holthouse, Olivier Melnick, J.B. Hicks, and Andy Woods and myself for a one-day conference, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, Abraham to Armageddon. You want to be a part of this. You want to be there or live stream it in. You can find out more by going to comingsoonministries.org. Trump warned Netanyahu that if Israel continues escalating military action against Iran, Israel could find itself alone. That headline comes after Iran violated the so-called very fragile ceasefire, if there really ever was a ceasefire, friends, because we were just pretending while Iran was rearming. But Iran launched a barrage of missiles at Israel. Now, mind you, not Israel military targets, not Israel warships or planes. No, right into the heart of residential areas. Iran launches ballistic missiles, and Israel is threatening to retaliate and has retaliated. Trump warns Netanyahu to stop it, cease fire, because Israel could find itself alone. Now, friends, this isn't a direct fulfillment of biblical prophecy. However, it is definitely stage setting, and it's another reminder of how quickly geopolitical alliances can shift, and that maybe the support from the United States to Israel isn't as rock solid as we want to portray. One of the consistent themes of biblical prophecy pointing towards the end times is that Israel will eventually stand alone and isolated among the nations. In fact, Zechariah says that Jerusalem will become a cup of staggering and a heavy stone to the nations. The prophetic picture is not one of growing global support for Israel, but growing global frustration and isolation of Israel. Whether this report demonstrates just how fragile the U.S.-Israel alliance is growing, international alliances are separating more and more from Israel, and that, my friends, is important for us to pay attention to, because Zechariah 12:9 says that God himself will destroy the nations that come against Israel. Joel 3 verse 2 speaks of the nations gathering against Israel because of God's land and of God's people. And of course, we know that there will be a war. We call it the Ezekiel 38 war, the war of Gog-Magog, where the nations will gather around Israel. Now, notably absent in Ezekiel 38 is any mention of a nation like the United States coming to the rescue of Israel. There's no international intervention from NATO or a Western coalition. God himself is the one that will intervene and save Israel supernaturally. In fact, Ezekiel 38:13 records only a diplomatic protest from Sheba and the merchants of Tarshish, which is, of course, a modern-day Spain. So what is going to happen to the United States? Well, I can assure you, friends, if the United States turns its back fully on Israel, there is going to be significant divine intervention and divine judgment against the nation of the United States. Bill Koenig has outlined very well in his book, Eye to Eye, how a natural disaster, a significant natural disaster, follows a time when the United States forces Israel to do something, to give up land or to do something that is contrary to God's purpose and plan for Israel. Many Bible prophecy teachers have long observed that Israel appears to stand largely alone during the Ezekiel 38 war. And of course, the United States is not part of that. The United States is not mentioned in the Bible. My word regarding President Donald Trump is those words that he spoke are dangerous and could result in divine judgment. Now, I need to clarify, we're not at the Ezekiel 38 war. As Dr. Ron Rhodes has constantly pointed out, these events are better viewed as stage setting, and I believe that too. Just like a master chess player is moving several pieces in advance to get to the point for victory, I believe that God is setting the world stage right now for that final checkmate, which includes the 7-year tribulation, followed by the victorious return of Jesus Christ with his church to vanquish the Antichrist and all the armies of the world that are coming up against not only Israel, but the God of the Bible. Psalm 146 says this, "Put not your trust in princes, in a son of man in whom there is no salvation." Friends, there is a lot of good things that I can say about the policies of Donald Trump, but these words are dangerous, and we need to make sure that we don't blur the line between supporting the policies and the positions of a president and blindly following whatever the man says. We don't follow a man, we follow the God of the Bible. Israel has often been tempted to trust foreign powers like the United States instead of the Lord. Think about it. Ancient Israel trusted Egypt, and it wound up with them living in captivity as slaves. At other times, they looked to Assyria or Babylon. Modern nations face the same temptation. Alliances, though, are only temporary because political figures will come and go. God's plan, though, remains eternal. Isaiah 31 warns, "Woe to those who go down to Egypt for help." The principle of this passage is timeless. Israel's ultimate security is not from a man, a president, or a government. It is from God. And one day, Israel is going to find this out again. That should be our prayer. So, let's wrap this up with understanding that we are witnessing today growing Israeli isolation. That's significant. That's pointing us to a prophetic event that will be coming soon. The Bible predicts increasing pressure on Israel. The nations will not move towards unconditional support of Israel. That's not going to happen. We can only understand that the only time that there's going to be support for Israel is at that 7-year covenant signed by the Antichrist, as outlined in Daniel. That's after the rapture of the church. Secondly, there is unreliability in human alliances. One administration supports Israel, another may not. Donald Trump may support Israel at one moment, but Donald Trump will turn his support on a dime. So if you are following him blindly and thinking that he is God's answer to prayer for the nations, you are mistaken. Don't put your hope in a man. Put your hope in the God of the Bible and understand that there are things that are going to happen that God is going to put in place. And when the president of the United States threatens or turns his back on Israel, there will be divine judgment. And also understand that political alliances are temporary. Ultimately, I believe this is stage setting for Israel. It's not fulfillment, it's stage setting. The geopolitical conditions described in Ezekiel are becoming more and more clear, and they are matching up with exactly how the prophet Ezekiel wrote about. Now, if you go to Israel and you talk to Israeli people, you find out that they truly are a people who want peace. Every call, every conflict renews calls for diplomacy. Every failed peace effort increases the desire for a stronger peace agreement. And that is going and growing. And Daniel 9:27, as I mentioned before, reminds us that one day the world leader, this charismatic world leader, will come onto the stage and he's going to offer the ultimate solution that the Jewish people, the Jewish government, will receive as a covenant, a 7-year covenant. But friends, remember, Israel's future does not depend on Washington, Brussels, Moscow. It depends upon the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God who preserved Israel through Pharaoh, through the threats of Haman, through Rome, through Hitler, and countless other enemies like Hamas. His promises remain eternal. He said in Jeremiah 31, as long as the sun and the moon and the stars are in their place, I will keep my promise for Israel, and so Israel will always be a nation. Friends, governments rise and fall, and history is not spiraling out of control. Everything is coming together. History is moving exactly where God said it would move. And at the center of that future stands the returning King, the King of Kings, Jesus Christ. That's what we're looking for. And that's why Jesus says, when you see these things happen, lift up your heads, straighten up, for your redemption is drawing nigh. My friends, my name is Pastor Brad Reaves. This is Prophecy News Brief. So like and subscribe. Check us out on Substack. And if you have the day, August 1st, we will be in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.